people to stay away from his city, and Charleston is under a curfew tonight with guards standing by. Electricity is a major problem throughout both Carolinas. At least 1 million people are without power, and we're told it may be several days before the lights go back on. Property owners will be swamping insurance companies. This afternoon, Charlotte Mayor Sue Myrick surveyed the damage in Chopper 9.
I'll tell you, some of it looks so much like tornado damage. It really does.
And people are worried about the basics. Lines to buy food and other staples are long. The line at this drugstore stretched out the door today, and there were also long lines at the gasoline pumps. Only a few stations were open today because of the power outage. This station ran out of gas at 3:30.
So there's no gas?
There's no gas.
It ran out?
Yeah, I'm from out of town. They ain't got no gas. I don't know what happened down here.
And then there are the trees. They were down everywhere today. Charlotte's civic signature twisted and broken in nearly every yard. But there was good news. It's the spirit of the folks in the Carolinas pulling together, neighbor helping neighbor in the cleanup.
Decisions being made at the City County Emergency Management Center, and that's where Channel 9's Mark Becker is joining us now with live details on the very latest. Mark?
Janet, late this afternoon, Mayor Myrick declared Charlotte officially in a state of emergency. Quickly, the county commission extended that to include all of Mecklenburg County. Now, under a state of emergency, officials could order a curfew, but they have decided in this case not to. Janet, Phil?
I know there's a lot of concern about the lack of electricity and some shortage of food, but I guess the good bright point is that we do have water. There don't seem to be any problems with that, do there?
No, the water we heard from county officials and city officials today, despite what you may have heard to the contrary, is clean, it is drinkable. Don't have to worry about drinking or water in the city of Charlotte or Mecklenburg County.
Now, two of the pressing concerns for thousands of people today, power and food. Duke Power Company is telling us that some customers may be without electricity for several days. Now, more than 500,000 homes and businesses lost power at one time, 200,000 here in Charlotte alone. Crews are scrambling to make repairs. It's just that there are so many lines down, and in many cases, the crews have had to wait for big trees to be removed before they can even start their work. Now, lack of power means refrigerators are warming up and food is thawing out, and that has created this rush you're seeing on grocery stores. Many are still without power, and they're unable to open, and those that were able to open quickly attracted long lines today.
We drove around all the way around town all day, and hey, no place was open. No place whatsoever.
We went to Harris Teeter over at South Park and Harris Teeter at Sharon Shopping Center. Neither one of them are open. So.
Okay, this store's just closed. What are you going to do now?
Look around for another store and probably go back to a 7-Eleven again and stand in line.
Of course, the staples, bread, soft drinks, milk, and ice are going very quickly. There will be a number of stores open tonight. Now, we've shown you the damage in Charleston many times throughout the day today, but I know that a lot of you have not seen that because you have not had electricity.
Yeah, that city is simply devastated. David Haynes watched it all happen last night and went into the city today to get the very latest, and he's with us now by satellite from Charleston. David?
I watched it all, and unfortunately for me, was right in the middle of it. Janet, this is a piece of roofing material. This is a very common sight on the streets of Charleston today, and this is also a very common sight. Yesterday, this was 3 office buildings just off Meeting Street. Today, as you can see, it is a pile of rubble. And that is pretty much the whole picture for Charleston and the islands, Sullivan Island, Isle of Palms, that are around this community. It is going to take a long time to clean up from last night's mess. People were huddled in the hallways of homes and hotels all over Charleston all of last night. Then, when the eye of the hurricane came through around midnight, people with flashlights came out to see the damage.
I opened a kitchen door here and came out and saw this copper wrapped around here, and it busted a railing here in the column and flew off the bank building next door.
This is it, the eye of a hurricane in downtown Charleston. It's about midnight right now, and as you can see, no wind in the palmetto trees. Everything is quiet. I don't even need a raincoat here. There is floodwater and some kind of debris, and it's all over the street down here. It's calm and it's quiet right now, but we all know that the worst of Hurricane Hugo is still to come. The damage from the first half of the storm was slight compared to what was found when Hugo had finally left. Nearly every street in the city has trees and debris on it. Power lines are down and electricity is expected to be out for several days. There is no running water. Houses and buildings all over town have taken hits from Hugo.
Water was up over, it was up over that car and probably up to where probably up to where the brick wall is. Everything above, that brick wall must have been about 10 feet high.
At the marina, there are more boats in the parking lot than there are in the water. The National Guard has been called in and a 6 p.m. till 7 a.m. curfew has been declared. Charleston has seen lots of bad storms over the years, but even lifelong residents say this was the worst. And those who stayed behind say next time things will be different.
I never will do it again. My daughter said, Mom, this is the stupidest thing you've ever done. And I said, well, we'll be just fine. But during the time before the eye, I really regretted it. I was really thought that we weren't going to make it.
Two things that people are saying. First of all, they're saying that things were not as bad here as they could have been, and they're thankful for that. The storm surge didn't hit Charleston, the 16 to 25 feet of water. They really would have put all of this right here underwater and perhaps still would have been. So they're thankful they didn't get that. That went a little bit north. And the other thing that they're saying is that this beautiful historic city is going to be rebuilt. Charleston has a long history, and a lot of times in its past they've had fires and so on. They were talking about how they rebuilt after that, and they're all promising already to rebuild it once again.
About 100 people were treated at Charlotte hospitals with storm-related injuries today. One woman is in critical condition tonight after a tree fell on her home. And there have been a lot of bee stings and insect bites. A lot of people apparently being stung from bees who were in trees, and folks are out looking at the trees, and the bees are everywhere
Trees
today.
are uprooted everywhere, and of course many homes have been damaged here. Homes on streets still clogged with down power lines and trees. Channel 9's Bill Coy has been visiting a number of neighborhoods today, and he joins us now live from Myers Park, where they have so many beautiful trees, or they did.
That's right, Janet. This is the intersection of Hermitage and Providence Road in Myers Park. And I tell you, if you haven't been out today, this is the kind of thing you'll see all across Charlotte. Sadly, what you're looking behind me at is one of the 100-year-old trees that they're so proud of in Myers Park here. It's just completely blocking Hermitage Road. That's a big problem here. Here is another problem. You've got a power line here. I'm certainly not going to be touching it. It may be hot. It's the kind of thing that we're seeing all across the town today, and it's one of the reasons why there's no power. Now, a number of these trees have just crossed roads in Charlotte, but on a number of occasions, sadly, these trees have hit people's homes.
About 3:30, the light pole over here snapped in half, which cut our electricity off, the phone and everything else. And then the wind started blowing. You could hear it, and the house was shaking.
Couldn't sleep, all the wind. I never seen something like this before. It's the worst thing I ever saw.
It seemed like every half hour, it was a boom, just a loud noise. We run from one end of the house to the other end, and we find a tree at this end, a tree at the other end.
3 different families in 3 different Charlotte neighborhoods who all felt the wrath and power of Hugo. Bernie Kremens moved to Charlotte 6 weeks ago from the Virgin Islands to get away from the tropical storms of the Caribbean, to settle in a beautiful southeast Charlotte neighborhood landscaped with tall trees. This was a day to get by with a little help from your friends. Mary Ann Thompson's home was clobbered by trees and power lines. A huge branch punctured her roof. Her Uncle Ward Green has been working since dawn to help her dig out.
Well, it's going to take days. I expect to cut all this stuff out and get it out so we can get the cars out.
We've got to get that thing out of our house. But, you know, the insurance companies aren't open, so you can't do anything. We first came out at 7 o'clock when it first started getting light, and the wind was blowing really bad then.
Blowing so bad was an understatement. And you wondered what was going through the mind of this little guy as he tried to understand why a tree crushed the front of his home. For those who left home, it was dangerous going. This is Carmel Road, where trees blocked driving lanes and crushed parked cars. Residential damage was spread and scattered all around town. These homes are in Myers Park. But it wasn't just homes damaged here. Hundreds of trees that took hundreds of years to grow came crashing down, blocking the boulevards, causing residents to reflect on the irreplaceable loss in this city of trees.
Well, you think about the time it took for these trees to mature and the neighborhood to mature, and then it'd be wiped out in just a matter of a few hours.
Bill and Janet, I think a lot of people are still trying to digest what all this means to their life and the way that the city's face has sort of changed tonight. But right now they've got immediate questions like what are they going to do about food tonight if they didn't have any stored up, and certainly how are they going to keep their homes lit without any power. Back to you.
Yeah, Steve Gasquet has been there. He is in Waccamaw, which is near Conway. Steve, what's the situation?